I had guns being clicked on my face, like about 6 to 7 guns on my head. And I was told not to move even a muscle. And then the rest that remained to ask me, and where is it? I asked them, what? Where is what? The gun. They said, the gun. I said, I don't have a gun. In fact, the closest I've ever seen a gun, it's right now when it's close to my head. I've never seen a gun even as close as this. They said, you've got a gun. We are told you came with a gun yesterday, last night. You'll be remanded until in Kamiti Maximum prison until your case is heard and otherwise proven not guilty. I was taken, where they hold people at the courts. It's underground. And it's a dark alley and very poorly lighted because you go down the stairs and then the cells, the clanch of the doorbell, the door, the big iron gate, yeah. The key was as big as my hand. All those things come into me for the first time. These are things that I used to see in the movies or maybe read in the stories. Me taken down to that place on cuffs, in the dungeons, cold and smelling, pungent smell. It means combination of urine, cigarettes, yeah, a combination of all those things, brews, I don't know what, inside there. And when I was going, because I'm coming from the light and I'm getting inside, I cannot see where I'm going, but those people inside the cells, the prisoners and everything could see me, and they started banging the doors like, hey, they're happy. And they were all claiming, get in inside here, bring him here, By that time, I had not even come to my senses what is happening. All this looked like a dream. It didn't look real. The words of the judge were still resonating in my head, like, you'll be remanded in Kamiti. I don't know where Kamiti is. I thought this is Kamiti. We have been taken. And you've been flanked, actually been thrown inside. I was kicked literally, like get inside, and the cell I was pushed in. By the time I knew I was inside the cell, I was already lying on the floor like I'm crucified. Yeah? People were in my pockets. Some had removed my shoes. My trousers was torn because they were looking for money. It was the inmates. Those who were they had come to hear the cases, they had come to mention their cases. Some of them, most of them were all of them actually are from Kamiti, because I literally came to know that, later on I came to know that those dungeons were separated. Those who are from Kamiti, those who are from industrial area, those who are from other prisons cannot be mixed together, So I was taken where the Kamiti people were. So by the time I knew myself, I was hit my chin on the floor because they put me down. And then they all came on my back, sat on me, ransacked me. I had nothing. I had 20 shillings in my pocket. And then they started talking to me. So what brought you up here? I tried to tell them I didn't do it. Oh my God, that was the worst thing I could have ever said. You didn't do what? You're a mama's boy? All those things you didn't do. We did. We are here in our rights, with our rights and everything. You didn't do it, you're here. So I was beaten. I was literally beaten for at least 30 minutes. Yeah, very well. That time they never used to have these beautiful buses they have right now to take people from the court to prison. They have very nice buses this time, but they used to have lorries. Those lorries were made inside the lorry itself. It's a prison. You go inside a cage, and then you're caged inside, and it's inside a lorry. You understand? There's a cell inside the lorry that you'll stay alone, and you'll be caged, and you'll be cuffed inside, and you'll be cuffed in the legs. By the time they were taking me to get into the lorry, I couldn't walk because my knees were done. They had actually broken me down completely. So they had to carry me. The people who broke my knees had to carry me to the lorry. And they don't care taking me to the hospital. In any case, I got to Kamiti. There were about I was cuffed inside, remember, in the lorry, despite the way I was beaten and all those things. My kneecaps were like, because they were jumping up and down on my so my kneecaps dislocated. And they told me they're going to get back. They're going to get back. They're going to get back to themselves, Anyway, so when we got to Kamiti, the place, the lorry, the way it's made, there's only a breathing space. It's a box kind of a lorry, yeah? And the ventilators are up. So if you have to pull or you want to breathe, you have to pull yourself through the cuffs, yeah? So that you can breathe, yeah? And you're cuffed even down on your legs and you're cuffed here. So to breathe out. And I needed that breath because they had actually stepped on my ribs so much and my knees. So when we got to Kamiti, I was uncuffed and there was a first gate, there was a second gate, and on the third gate, we were told to alight, and we were frisked. You're told, are you carrying anything? I said, nothing. And because they had already taken my 20 shillings. So I said, nothing. They said, no, not in this, not in your pockets, in the inner bag. I said, which inner bag? They said, inner bag. You don't know inner bag? I said, no. I was slapped. I didn't know what an inner bag is. Anyway, so they took me through the third gate, and then I saw they had arranged newspapers, pages of newspapers, and I was told to go to one newspaper and do what? Defecate, yeah, so that they can prove I had nothing in my inner bag. So the inner bag is actually what prisoners use to hide. They hide things inside their bodies. They hide phones, they hide money, through anally. You understand? So I didn't even have anything I didn't have anything in my body to do what they. But I was given one blow with one rungu, yeah, They clubbed me with one on my head. So it just came out. It was so natural, I'm telling you, so straightforward. Like, pap, yes, there it is. And they said, you see, it was so simple. You didn't have anything, so you wear your clothes. There's nothing like take a tissue or anything. Wear your clothes, take your problem and go and dump it somewhere. There's a toilet outside toilet. So you go, you take it there, and then you pass now the fourth gate. And you're frisked again, but you don't go through the process of the newspapers again. So I went when we got to the gate, because I was new. Among the people who were new, you would wait in the fourth gate so that the person in charge, they were called in charge. The person in charge is a prisoner, but in charge of a block, would come and take you from there and go and give you a cell number. Yeah? So the charge would come, you'd be called. I was actually the charge of Block F in Kamiti, came, and he would choose you people among many, and you say, this one is mine. And this other charge would say, this one mine. I don't know what they were checking, But I later came to know they were checking if you've got a good physique. Literally, if you look like somebody who could make to be, there are no women there. So if you look a little bit like you've got a good body, you become marketable. So the in charge, who has a lot of power in all the other blocks, would choose he'd choose the people he wants to take in his block, because apart from that, you make good business for him. You understand? So I was chosen by the in charge of Block F. There were those blocks had 57 cells. And by that time, each cell had about 15 occupants, and it was by 9x6 place. 9x6, I don't know what what that means. It's up Very small place. Very small place. It's just about, 9 by 6. And during that time, in 2005, there was actually people in prison had it very rough because we could not see the sun. We could only see the sun. We were allowed 15 minutes. In these 15 minutes, you're supposed to go either take a shower, sunbask, or go to the toilet. And in these 15 minutes, either you choose one or you go for each in 5 minutes. And then you're locked back in. There used to be a bucket at the corner of the cell that we used to call nugu. I'm just trying to tell you how it was too hard for survival. You can imagine 15 people in a very small place. So we used to sleep in shifts. And 7 people would sleep, and then the other 8 would sleep later. So 7 would sleep until 12 o'clock, because the room would be able to take 3 and 4, and then the other 8 will stand. And then the 8 would sleep, and the 7 will stand. And then tomorrow, the one who started would be the last one. It will be a shift. And because of the bucket, that's why it was the first 7, first of all, would sleep. So because the bucket takes one person. The bucket is a toilet. It's called nugu. And the newcomer always sleeps next to it. So me as a newcomer, I slept next to the nugu. It's a bucket. And because some other people choose in the 15 minutes not to go to the toilet, they choose to go to use the bucket, so that once the 15 minutes come, they can spend the rest of the 15 minutes, they are given, checking their clothes on for fleas, because we had, they're uncountable. I mean, you could do this and fill a cup, like that. The food was full of weevils. The weevils we loved weevils because it was the only piece of meat that you could have, So that bucket, when we used to sleep, because you have to sleep on one side. If it's like a battalion. When all you guys are sleeping, the 4 sleep this side, the 3 sleep on this side, facing this way, and those ones face on the other side. And when you're facing the bucket, whoever feels like the other 8 who are standing, when they feel like going to the bucket, they'll do their urine there on top of your head. And obviously, it has to go ending with you. The urine has to go ending. And when they want to go do their poop, they'll have to come and do it on your head. And whatever the residue is going to remain, it's on your head, you see. So, and you had to spend 14 days next to the bucket, or even more if somebody else new doesn't come in your cell. Or you look for money to shift from that place. You give, because every cell also had a leader. Apart from the block having a leader, every cell had also a leader. So you give the cell leader some money so that he can change you from sleeping next to the bucket, or the nugu, so he can put you in a better position. The higher your money, the better. The far you move from the bucket. You get, there were no blankets. Right now I can see they are wearing even pullovers. There were no pullovers. There were no mattresses. Right now there are mattresses. So we used to have short-sleeved, the white and black attire, and it was shorts during that time. There were only shorts, and we sleeping on the floor. It was cold, extremely very cold. You can imagine, because even inside there it was dark. Yeah, I'm telling you, there was a very small ventilator, very small ventilation, literally small as this, that was up above the cell, but that's the only place where oxygen could come in through, and that's the only place where you could manage to see the sun rise in the morning, just for a glimpse, just to see the sun. It used to mean a lot, right now people see it and you don't know what it really means. When it's taken away from you, it's when you realize it's something very nice to see. Anyway, so time to feed. There was something, the plate that he used there, it's called a mororo. It's aluminium. It goes like, it's small on the bottom, but it goes this way, and it's all aluminium and it's big. But the funny thing is, as big as it is, that's not what is going to be filled. It is a slice of ugali that you can literally see through. It's what is put in that place, and water that has boiled water that looks or depicts some soup of some nature, because some beans were cooked in it. Some beans, which you'll never finding at least 3 pieces of beans, 3 beans in your soup. It was a miracle, you know. So that slice and that soup. And it was hot, and you had to drink it because it is drinking. That's what is your food. Otherwise, the other thing that you had to drink was porridge that was actually brought with, even with that, the same plate, which we used to call mororo. It was hard, very difficult, because I'm telling you, I don't remember myself having a shower during those 15 minutes. And I don't remember myself choosing to go to the toilet in those 15 minutes. I just became like the others. I chose to go and, to wean myself off those fleas. Yeah? Because those things could bite you. We are all spotty. That's what I'd call, because all to those who are light like me, because we had spots. Those things were so many until when I think I've seen movies where monkeys go and sit and do those things in the sun. That's literally what we used to do for 15 minutes, and then we're put inside. Now, I thank God now when the era of Kibaki came. During that time, Kibaki was there, but they had not changed anything. They came to change things when Mudiawori, now the vice president, changed the lifestyle of prisoners. When Mudiawori came, he brought mattresses. He brought what we call now, we came to name it Moody Hopper, the bus now that you see. And then he brought long trousers, he brought us long pants, and then we were reduced in the cells. Now that's when also we became other people. That's when we started sending messages outside to the Kenyans, to the citizens of, we started stealing truth from the public. That's when it's all started. Yeah? All those things that you've ever heard about prison with their phones. It is very true. I did it literally. Because you have to live just like the way they live. It all started, and I can tell you the truth, those people, even the one who never got into a classroom, they became so clever, because once your freedom is taken away from you, and especially when I was put in with people who knew that they might be put to death. Even if you won't be taken to that machine, but your life is gone. When you're told you're hanged, you're staying there forever. Until that day when they'll say, now let's put the machine on. Or when somebody in the government says, let's put these people to death. Like somebody tried to say that when he comes in, he'll put that as a law. And the machine is still there. It's still in committee. If anybody just decides the law to go on, because it's still a law in Kenya, it's not removed from the Constitution. It will go on. So once you know you're that way, you don't care about anything. So you do anything, and you become clever, because when the mind is so much antagonized, and you don't know where to get out of, you kind of create a defensive mechanism, and through this mechanism, you become anything that you want to become. So literally what I'm trying to say is that some people who never even went to class were capable of even stealing millions from the citizens through their phones. But by that time, before it got to the tune of millions, because I was in remand, I was still going on with my case, you know. Now, in my case, in the process of the case, because when you're doing your case, you ask for your proceedings. So when the proceedings comes, you ask for witnesses, first statements. And when the statements came, I realized there's a lady called Lynette, who she says she never came to the parade. And during my hearing time, when she came, she said she saw me in the police station in Langata. It's when I realized, oh, there's a lady who, when I was in the OCS office, who came, who I found with the OCS. And when the OCS saw her, when the OCS was with her, the OCS gave me his gun and told me to point it at him, to point the OCS at. It was coming up now after I was hearing my case, during the proceedings of my case, I realized, and why literally did the OCS give me his own gun and tell me to point it at him? You know, it's coming up because of that naivety. You know, you just do things. But I remember telling the OCS, I can't point a gun. I can't take your gun. He told me, no. He took the gun and removed do you call it the caliber? Yeah. And gave it. He told me it doesn't have bullets now. Point it at me. And he told me, don't worry, please point it at me. And the lady was looking at me. I didn't know this lady was in my case. And I took the gun and pointed it to the OCS. And the OCS took the gun and he shook his head and he told me, okay, you go back to the cells. That's now before I came to plead not guilty and come to committee. So that was one lady that was not in the parade. The other person that came that I saw in my proceedings was one who was called Kyalo, or Chalo, as you call it, Kyalo. We're with him in Langata police station, actually being held in the same cell. We were talking with him. He was selling drugs to the guys in the cells, cigarettes and whatever some white powder, which I just thought maybe could be either cocaine or something, because later on I saw it in committee and I came to know it was heroin. He was doing it in Langata cells. So he was also a witness in this case. This Chalo is a relative of Susan Onyancha. But this boy stole, the reason he was in Langata police station, because it comes out in the case, when in close examination by my lawyer, it is because he stole Onyancha's phone and camera and some money, yeah, from his home. So Onyancha put him in Langata police station because of that, so that he can have a lesson. So I came to know Chalo, one of the witnesses, is the guy who we were with in Langata police station, and this guy used me as a scapegoat so that he can be acquitted. And when every witness stand, remember the first witness judge came to court, and when he came to court and he said, I didn't identify in the parade, and right now I don't even see that person in court. So that was the number one. The second one, who was a child, said, I didn't identify him, and there's nobody here in court also, because I can literally remember every single person who came to our house, because they blindfolded everybody, but they didn't blindfold me. That's what the boy said. He was 12 years old. And he was told, look again. Actually, the prosecutor was pressing him to look again and to look again in the court and look again the 3 times. Are you sure? Go, start with the magistrate. Look at the magistrate. Look at the clerks. Is that, did you see that one? Did you see that? He was pinpointing everybody until he pointed at me and at the dog. And that one, and the boy said, no. He was not there. But when it came to Matilda, the girl, the cousin of Onyancha, she said, yes, I can see him in court. It is him. When Lynette came And Lynette, she's the one who saw me, not in the parade in the parade. She saw me in the police cell when I was being handed the gun by the OCS. She said it is him. When they were witnessing at the dock, the only thing that they said and all agreed on is that 3 people accosted them. And among them, 2 were black and short. One was black, short, had a big scar on the right side of the head. The other one was black, short, and had no teeth on the upper jaw. The other one was tall, slender, and brown with a small scar below the right eyebrow. So of all these people, now they have given their witness, they have given their evidences in court, they have given their whatever they had to say. Now it was the time for cross-examination by my lawyer. And my lawyer asked now Susan. Now you see how God works, it's this way. When I was in committee still, the people who did this thing were brought in on a different case. You see? The people who had actually stolen from them were brought in on a different case altogether. And when they were asked, they were talking, you know, they were jailbirds. So they were talking, they had, oh, there's somebody here I've heard, he came here because of the case of Mr. David. Yeah, we can show you. Yeah. They came to me and they asked me, are you involved? Are you here because of getting involved with the case of it? And they started laughing, the both guys. And I could see these people, but I didn't know why they're asking me. It was the 2 short guys, the guy who had no teeth and the other guy who had a big scar on the left, and they're all black. And they asked me, then how could you be here? Because the other guy was tall and slender and he died. He died. He was our friend. He died. He died last year. And even Susan, the wife of Onyancha, went to the morgue and identified him. We are the only 2 left. Then how can you be the brown guy, tall, slender guy? Because the tall, slender guy died. So he said, they gave me that hint. They told her, actually, the person who planned all this thing was Mweni. Mweni was the house girl. And they told us, but there you'll get over it. Anyway, things are going to be fine. And they left. So I went through that story to my lawyer. And when I told my lawyer that, at least we had something to hold on. Not something small, something very big. The fact that the tall brown person that they are saying that I am died, and they actually identified him in the morgue. So when Susan was asked that in court, she didn't know how to answer. She was asked, now, this guy you describe him as a short person in black, yeah? So he's not among the 2 black short guys? No. Is he the tall brown guy, slender guy with a small scar below the right eyebrow? He said, okay, now he looks big and I cannot see the scar now on his face, but anything can happen. The scar might have healed and he might have grown fatter for the last 4 months. He was asked, okay, if that's the case, did you go to the morgue? You know, when she was being asked, she was shocked. First of all, she started looking around. How did these people know this thing? Did you identify a tall, slender person, a brown guy, with a small scar on the right eyebrow? And according to the first statements that you gave, she said, yes, I did. So how is it that this guy is here? She said, whatever the case, I have identified him. Those are in the proceedings. That case is in the proceedings. So one thing I want you to understand, on all these accounts, there's nowhere the identification is showing even a little bit of hint that I was the one. But at the end of the day, the magistrate hanged me. Why? Because the magistrate, she was reporting, she had a boss that she was reporting to. The judge that was in this case. And the judge had said, I didn't do this. The judge said, it wasn't me. But the wife, Susan, always during the day of the court, of the hearing, she was the first to report in the magistrate office, first of all. The magistrate used to meet her I came to know these things later from the inside court people, the court clerks, that the magistrate was tied because the wife of the judge used to be there early in the morning to tell her, remember today we've got a hearing? Yeah, make it right because the boss really wants it right. But the boss wanted justice. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? The boss wanted justice. That's the reason he never chose me, because he knew I was not the person. But the wife wanted injustice because he wants to prove that I am the person so that the nephew can be let loose. At the end of everything, this is what the magistrate final words was said. Despite the discrepancies of the identification, I find that the one thing is prominent, the fact that there was a brown person. And therefore, there is no other, the law doesn't allow any other ruling in such a case, otherwise to sentence the accused to death in all 4 counts. That means I was sentenced to death 4 times. So I was taken back to committee. And this time now, it's when I went to, I don't know, to what state. I don't know what state. Because for almost 2 weeks I never knew myself. I never ate or did anything. I never talked to anybody because there were no tears to cry. I was dry. There was nobody to tell anybody. My family was there during that time in court to hear all those things, but I didn't even know what they are thinking. I didn't know anything. I didn't know even when, was it day or night, for 2 weeks. And that's when I developed that problem. I developed post-traumatic stress disorder. It was so critical that I took, if I could show you a list of the drugs that I've used when I've been in committee, I think literally if you show it to a psychotic doctor or somebody, he'll tell you this guy is not surviving right now. He's not alive. Over about 100 and something different kind of drugs after this one, after this one, because I was not flipping. My head was not getting right. I used to hear sounds and everything. What the judges said from the onset to the end, I could literally hear them vibrating in my head every other time. I became almost schizophrenic. And when I went to the hospital, they said that I had bipolar. I was being treated. I've got a list of the drugs, because if I mention them right now, actually it will be of no use because you won't understand the terminologies. There are many of them. And then I got acute seizures. I started kind of falling and shaking, trauma. Eventually, also over the years, I developed a cyst in my body because of I developed a cyst in my testicles because of being hit. Yeah? You know, you have to find your space there. And for you to find your space, you have to fight for that space. For you to be a man there, not to be made a woman, you have to fight for a space. So I developed complications. So I had to go under medical care for a long time. But I got well, thank God. But during that time, there are so many things that happened in committee. As I told you, that's the time that people used their phones to steal. I literally saw people make millions. People, I saw somebody sell the Globe roundabout, 170 million to a Chinese person. And the Chinese came from China, and he was showed over the Globe roundabout with the papers, and he walked around and he gave a deposit of 170 million. I stayed with all kind of prisoners. I stayed with all. I was lucky to see most of the most wanted criminals in Kenya. In fact, what come to think about it, those are the most humblest of all the people that you've ever seen. And I remember also there's a time one of the guys that we used to stay with, he broke out of prison very easily. He just offered one of the warders some money. You give me your uniform, I give you 2 million. Yeah, literally 2 million. Because what we used to do in the cells, we were so beyond what? Beyond repair, beyond, because we made the cells like our homes. We had music systems. We are not wearing any uniform any longer. We are wearing our shoes, the best of Nikes, the best of everything, Adidas and all those things. We had music systems. We had wardrobes where we could put our cash. We had Mpesa agents inside there. We had sodas, shops for sodas inside, bread. There are some people who knew nothing about English, who could not do anything, so they operated Mpesa shops, they operated sodas. One soda would go for 200 shillings, you know, you're making money. Yeah. One cigarette was 100 shillings, you know. And alcohol was there. That time, I remember the plastic alcohol, this, what do you call them, spirits in plastic containers. One container was 2,000. Outside here, it was 25 shillings. We used to call this place, being outside, even right now I know they call it London. When you go to London, say hi to people. You know, we used to call being outside the prison London. So here in London, it was 25 shillings. In prison, it was 2,000. There were brothels. Yeah, there were brothels. And I'm telling you the truth. These brothels belong to a particular kind of, it's a cell. Remember, all these people are in Kamiti. It is a block called Block G in Kamiti. But no guard can come in unless we agree. Otherwise, you're going to die. All these people have been sentenced to death and lifers. Only lifers and people are sentenced to death. So they have finished their stories. You can kill me or I kill you. It's all the same. I'm dead anyway. You understand? So they used their phones. And the people who used to bring these phones and everything, they're the guards. Yeah? And when the guards used to come to search for these phones, they would tell us a day before. So we would hide them. And when we hide them, you know which pockets we use? Our inner pockets. And even when they advanced to bring the sensors, yeah, the guards would flip the sensor off so that it cannot beep on you. And somebody who cannot carry these things in their body, you pay for courier services. And for somebody to carry your phone, it was 5,000, one phone. And one person would stick at least two what do you call it? Like 10 packets of cigarettes, the whole lot of it, it's called a bundle, yeah? And one person would carry 2 of those bundles, that's 40 packets, and about 4 phones inside one person. You know, they would wrap it around, it becomes, they kind of squeeze them and then wrap them in a polythene paper. And this polythene paper, they put fat from the kitchen. They get fat from the kitchen, the cooking fat, and it's just pushed inside very easily. And they could not, some of them couldn't breathe until it's all over, and they cannot sit down. And it's carrying about, one person would carry even 40,000 just for 5 minutes. And when he gets them out, you give him money. Before he gives you a piece or whatever he carried for you. So it was business, big business, booming up, big business. Because the guy who gave out 2 million to the warder, he was given a full uniform and the corporal stick. And he just left. He came with the uniform. He was given his 2 million. And the guy just walked out like a corporal. He just put his cap over his eyes and he walked out. He called us later and said, hey, you guys, I'm out. He was gone. Those people who, the things, the cigarettes, the cocaine, the heroin, the booze, you may ask how it used to come, apart from maybe those people who used to go to court and carry them to their bodies, the inmates. The rest would come through these watchtowers. They would be dropped at night. And when they're dropped, the guard would come with them, every parcel written with its name. Yeah. So when it's dropped in the compound at night, a guard would open one cell, and it would be taken into one cell. So in the morning, you saw that you guys in the morning, you'd go and take your parcels. But the guard has already been paid his share. You understand the way it used to happen? Everything could go in there. Many people, when you go to Kamiti area, most inmates bought land there and they've built mansions and some of them have built flats. So they found it very easy it's good to stay inside there. You know, they made money, made their family. And I'm telling you, it didn't depend on your education. So they have made their family rich outside and they've got their wives there. This one guy, the guy who was selling the roundabout, he had 2 wives. 2 wives. When I say wife, it's a man. And you looked at this man, you could not see any man in that person. They had all these kind of creams that women use. They were like women. They had all these things. Even their shapes were like women. They had hair like women. You could not see anything that belongs to a man anywhere. And they literally had people who were taking care of them. Like the person had somebody for each, somebody who would take them to the toilet and a security guard to take them to the toilet. Yeah, the 2 ladies, he had 2 ladies, and he had security guards and somebody to cook for them, and they didn't spend the night in that cell. So he spent the night with just the 2 of them. That's what money could buy for them. They bought freedom under all circumstances. But to continue with my case, I was almost giving up myself. I was almost giving up myself because if the system that I expected to help me could literally go against me because of fear, because the magistrate actually feared the judge, because he's his immediate boss. And he had to do it, she had to do it so that she can appease the judge or the judge's wife. And she sentenced me to death. What faith would I have in any other incoming judgment or any other incoming justice? So I was heartbroken. I also got mixed up with those things. I remember being one of the pioneers of, these things God has to forgive us. It's not good. It's not easy to talk about them, but it's good to get out there so that people can know, and people also can be careful. We used to put adverts in the newspaper for lonely hearts. You remember Lonely Hearts in the daily newspaper? It used to come on Saturday. So to get your story in the daily Lonely Hearts, you had to give 1,000 shillings. register the 1,000 shillings in the nation house. So we used to send a guard to the nation house on Wednesday when we want it on Saturday, because when it was the last day. So it's either Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but not on Thursday or Friday, but that is too late. Otherwise, you do it for the coming week. And then you'll write, example, Tony Clark from Germany. He said, Tony Clark, a merchant from Germany, would love to meet a willing and loving lady from Kenya, aged between this and this, who is willing to settle for marriage and who is outgoing and who loves traveling, and everything, and who is financially stable. You know the word financially stable meant? That I need to steal from you. You don't just answer this thing if you're not financially stable. At the end of the day, people are desperate. On Saturday morning, by the time by 8 o'clock, you're getting calls, hundreds in the tunes of hundreds from ladies. And you'll pick who you'll have a book, Diana, from which place, blah, blah. Yeah, some of them they'll write their messages, they'll write them in messages. Some of them will call you. When they call you, you'll want to know who they are and how they're doing and what they're doing. You become such a professional. You can judge somebody. You can know somebody just by the voice, if somebody's stable. And then one thing falls into another. The lady falls in love, and she parts with money, and they would part with in tunes of millions. They would part with tunes of millions or hundreds of thousands. I participated in that. It's unfortunate that I did, but when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do because you have to survive. A piece of meat there, a piece that even if you throw it to a rat, the rat cannot be amused because it's so small. It used to go for 500 shillings, just a piece, a small one. And you have to eat like the rest of the other people. You have to eat a big piece of meat. So you buy a bit every time you buy, every day if you want a piece of meat that is worth about at least 4 or 5 bites, you use about 2,000, 3,000. You need money. Nobody outside there can support, not your family. And you cannot sit while other people have coils in the cell. They are cooking their food. And they are using the money that they have gotten from people. So you get to, anyway, may God forgive us about that. So eventually, about what literally happened is that I got a very good lawyer. His name is Mr. Wagara. I also think God chose him for that case because he was really in for it. He just kind of read it and understood the case. And he knew this is a walkover. He knew definitely what had happened in the lower courts. And so we went for it. He did his submissions. So when time came, and I believe it's the time of God, the judgment came. We submitted our case. The prosecution didn't have anything to submit. The prosecution said, we don't have anything on this guy. And the judges were asking, then how could she lie on that? And another brown person was found dead in the morgue. How could she not even check on the alibi of the mother who had said that I was with my son that day that you people have been robbed because I can prove. These are the documents. I was with my son. We were doing this at home. The magistrate didn't even look at that. By that time, I was not outside. I was still working with the county. By June, that time when there are documents to show that I was working at the county, and the robbery took place at 5 o'clock in the evening. How could I finish work at 5 o'clock, go rob, and be back in Meru at 5? Go rob because the robbery took place at 5. Between 5 and 5:30, that's what they all said, the witnesses. How could I fly from Meru and by between 5 and 5:30, because actually after work it's after 5. Yeah, all government offices, they end up at 5. How could I finish at work at 5 and fly? Which means would you use and go rob by 5:30? In any case, so I was acquitted. And the judgment was read in open court. When because there were two judges, one Lydia Ochode, the other judge was called Lydia. When Lydia said, and therefore we set the accused free unless held otherwise lawfully. And the mantle was banged on. Oh my God. We didn't wait for them to go outside. I was almost climbing over the dock, with my chains and everything. And we didn't even obey that silence in court any longer. We didn't wait stand up so that the judges can walk out. My people were already there, hugging me, pulling me over and everything. And I was giving my cuffs to the to the guard to open them. I'm a free man. Why should I go with these things back to the dungeons? Because I had to go back to the dungeons, be taken back to Kamiti, so that I can be released. You see, it was an incredible feeling. They almost tipped me off from the dock because it was high, a little bit high, and they were all pulling me. I didn't. Freedom is the greatest thing that a man can achieve. It's like having breath. It's like somebody hitting you with a bucket of cold water in the morning, just after you've woken up. That pop, that's how freedom is. It's something, it's inexpressible. I had a lot of joy. We hugged in court until I forgot that the time was passing, that I had to, if I needed to be released that day, I needed to go to Kamiti that time. But it was almost too late. It was almost too late because it was about 3:30, almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And after 5, they cannot release you. During that time, they couldn't release you. So do you know what I did? I talked to one of the guards, and just as we say, I don't know, corruption, they put me in a different van, prison van, and they rushed me to Kamiti. And I was checked off from the books very fast. By the time my people came to Kamiti, I was joining them, being released before 5. It was so fast, very fast, immediately. By 5:30, I was out. I was going to freedom. I was going, yes, to the essence of life, to the real part where I'm supposed to be myself, to a situation where I'm not entitled to steal from people, to a situation where I'm not entitled to bow down to people, because to a place where I'm not entitled because the guards had said, you are not supposed to question anything they say, you're not supposed to talk, all those kind of things. So it's somewhere at least where I'm going to be heard. It's somewhere where at least I'm going to walk to the shops, somewhere where at least I can walk in a park, I can see the sun at my own time, I can move on my own free time, I can shower with a normal shower, I can go to swim if I have to. The rain can rain down on me without being cubed. You understand? That's what I was looking for. I was not looking for what other people would think success or anything. That is, the freedom is beyond words. It's looking to look at the stars at night, The fact that you can sleep in your own bed, yeah? You can choose a plate to use, which food you want to eat. You can use a spoon after a long time, because there are no spoons there, That's what I was yearning for, running away from an artificial life, a life which was full of death, a life which was against God by all virtues, a life where you mixed with people of all caliber, a life where being a Christian was so difficult. There are people who sustained their faith there in Christ. I could tell you. but on very difficult circumstances. So what I was running away from, what the freedom that I wanted was so uncertain, but it was factual. It was something that you could make up yourself. You could do whatever you want to do with the freedom, you know. Now that you're out there, it's not about being employed. It's not about finding a job. It's not about finding a family, because, by the way, I didn't tell you, I lost my wife. She died while I was in prison. So when I came out, I had to go and look for my daughter. Everybody was cutting a slice of me. Everybody. One of the guy came with that, what do you call it, tarimbo, the one that people dig, the big iron bar that digs holes, you know. They actually dug it through my body. They dug it through my bum, and it came out through my front leg, and it dug. So I couldn't move myself because a lady there was screaming that they should cut my manhood out, and she held a knife. That the same guy who pulled out the bar turned me with the bar, the other side, so that the lady can go and cut. But the lady was unable because of the blood, too much blood. So she opted to burn me instead. She said, let's burn him.